Here we are. Good morning. We seem to be having some technical difficulties this morning on both ends.
Morning, Anna.
Sorry,
Hello,
guys,
darling.
for the delay.
No, I don't know what happened there. That was technically my inability to be able to deal with pushing a button, I think.
No, but my side as well. I had some issues of just going live. So hi guys, hi everybody. Apologise for slight delay and the issues. So hopefully everybody can hear us okay. So there we are. Right, Mark, let's start again. How are you?
Anna, darling, good morning.
How are you doing?
Very good, very, very good. We're very excited about what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
On a positive side, just looking out the window behind me, it's the first day. It's not raining, but it's that grey mist, dismal shite.
Oh, is it? We have like severe downpours. We have a weather warning again for today. They're giving us a break tomorrow, and we have a weather warning again on Sunday. I know many people comment as well. Just frankly fed up with the constant and utter rain. And it's one of those, you walk out for a second and you just sodden through. We have puddles again on the back. The garden is flooding, and I'm just had enough of the weather. We need to get on with the gardening and all this, but they're kind of stopping us by any opportunity, so it looks.
Yeah, I think it's going to come to a point that people are going to have to do something about it.
Yeah, it's very hard, isn't it? Because again, not everybody understands the extent to what it affects everything, including obviously,
Sure.
Major part is really farming, and of course then the people's well-being, really, because it is depressing. It's down. Do you know what I found myself? Sorry, we're slightly digressing on the lighter note before we're moving on to with the growing stuff. I have some grow lights, right? So you guys who follow, obviously aware, I've planted stuff in advance. I found myself quite often just coming in and sitting by them, and I think I figured why. Because of the lights. They mimic, right, the sunlight, and we're drawn as the humans. We're drawn to the light, and I'm like, well, why sit by the plants? Put the chair sit next to them.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But
it's interesting. We bought my dad a sad lamp last Christmas, and and I find myself when I go around there, sort of go and sit on the sofa with him so I can get some sunlight or synthetic sunlight. It's just like, this is ridiculous. I think we're getting to a point there's going to have to be something done about it personally, because it can't continue. That's for sure. So anyway,
it is depressing. Yes.
On with the show.
On the positive note, so finally, Mark, your tour is now go live, isn't it? That's why you're here, to spread the word.
Indeed. So officially, we start the tour tomorrow in Thetford at the Great Resist. I think they've got about 300 tickets sold for that, which is sold out.
Yeah. What is that? Would you enlighten people who are the Great Resist thing?
Great Resist is I talk from the food and farming point of view.
Yeah.
The Andrew Bridgen is there, the ex-MP. He's there talking about the health and the jibby jabs. There's people there talking about 5G and the implications of that.
Oh. Crackle. There
is people talking about different aspects of what's going on in the big picture, including chemtrails. So there'll probably be, I think there's about 8 speakers tomorrow talking about.
So it's pretty awake speeches then.
Yeah. And this is, so there's about 300 tickets sold. Then Sunday we're going up to Burnley. And Burnley, we have got, I think, about 150 tickets sold for that one, which is sold out again. Then I'm back for 3 weeks while we sort everything out on the farm and get ourselves closed down a little bit here, and then we hit the road mid-March.
Yeah.
The big thing for me, Anna, really is someone who's passionate about food and farming. What we want to achieve by the tour is two aspects here.
Yeah.
One, to film and document as we go around, doing talks in the evenings, but during the daytime we're going around farms, farm shops, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, whatever, and to film those and try and kind of make like an on-the-fly documentary of just how amazing the British food is and how high the quality is in comparison to a lot of places around the world. Bear in mind that they're telling us we're going to import all this stuff, but when you test it, the organic food, for instance, what's coming in from overseas, the nitrates are just through the roof on that stuff. So yes, it might be chemical free, but when did the chemicals stop going into it if the nitrates are through and roof.
Yeah.
So yeah, to highlight from that side what is out there, to get those farmers in turn onto the food finders hub.
Yeah.
And then to get the public to understand, cutting out the supermarkets and cutting out the unnecessary crap from our diet. So start looking at meat and veg as two commodities, and take away all the flour, the sugar, and all the nonsense what goes into processed food. And sawdust as well. I read an article the other day, again about they were using sawdust instead of flour because they couldn't get enough flour. So they were using, I can't remember what it was. They were using some bicarbonate or something as a raising agent. But they were using half of the flour wasn't flour, it was just sawdust.
Yeah.
So, and the things what are going on, Anna, is just mad.
I know. Well, I'm exposing the reason why, again, I'm doing my food exposed videos to make people aware, because yes, to some extent, obviously, we'll look at the labels, but it's not always that translucent, because there are many loopholes for the companies. Okay, so the people can disguise things as an ingredient. And sawdust, I haven't heard of sawdust in a flour, but I'll look into that, because flour is on my list to do. But sawdust in a grated cheese, sawdust in a Parmesan cheese as a bulking agent, absolutely. That's just a little sneak peek of the things to come for my food exposed videos. That I then have to apologize for upsetting people, because it really is depressing to what's actually happening, as you know.
You've also got the other side of this, Anna, that if it isn't sawdust, is it ground worms or mealworms or something that they're using instead of flour? There's lots of this going on that we're very unaware of,
Yeah. I will make sure people are aware when I get there. I'm sure bit by bit. I'll make sure everybody's fully aware. Bit depressing, but they'll be aware of that.
But I do think, Anna, that as we've proven, my stats have gone up. We're about 72,000 followers across social media now. And what I'm seeing is that we have both witnessed over the last year, both of our channels grown as a direct result of what we're talking about. And people obviously do care, because they are passing that message out onto the general public and, the wider audience, friends, family, and so forth. So, so that's one aspect to the tour. The other aspect is, I say, to go around and meet the farmers and talk to them about getting on the food hub and to document what they are about, what they're, the challenges they're having, especially. Because one of the things which we're finding more and more is the farmers are just right ready to chuck the towel in, because they just can't see an out, Anna.
Was there much luck? Sorry for interrupting. Sorry, so we're delayed in the thingy. No, go on. No, sorry, because we've got you paused then, delayed. Sorry, with the farmers, obviously there've been another protest. Has that changed at all? As the government, I haven't, because it's all been sort of dampened down again. The media sort of doesn't give a monkeys anymore, really. It doesn't seem to be covered as such. Obviously, I know they're going and doing stuff. It's been multiples of their same farmers doing, but I'm not seeing any feedback, any movement on anything at all. Like yay or nay kind of thing from government. Nothing seems to be happening. And are they not just enough?
I think what they're doing, they've been trying to play this quite British, and I think they need to do it a bit more European, personally. I think they need to go out and cause some trouble because, well, I think the problem is, Anna, that, with the best will in the world, doing this a British way, and, we're just going to sit down and talk to these people. The government are not interested in talking to farmers. They're not interested in talking to the unions or anybody else. They've made their decision. That decision is not based on Britain. It's based on, as we know, it's based on what Davos wants to happen. So I think from my side, what I can see happening next is that the farmers are going back to London on more pressure on the government. Will that do any good? In my opinion, no. The farmers need to feel that they're doing something. I get that, but they would, and I think this will be the next progressive thing. I don't know this, but I think it will be the next progressive thing. Is that there will be airports blocked, the food distribution depots and the fuel distribution depots.
But they already said
that
before,
is what I
That's
think is
my
coming.
Next question, and many people are asking. Obviously, they were talking about it. Why is it not happened? Because I think at the moment, to be frank, people that were thinking and supporting, thinking, yes, farmers need to do this, and we're behind them, they chickened out. So it kind of feels like is nothing happening. So people are like, well,
Yeah.
you said you're going to do it. Why do you just go ahead and do it? Why sort of keep beating around the bush? Keep sort of going there protesting?
I think that I think the challenge is, Anna, that farmers still have a lot of faith in the farming unions. I don't. They're working on behalf of the government without any doubt at all. And as a direct result of that, people have sat back because the farmers union have turned around and said, oh, you know, we've got these talks going on with the government. You know, if you sway the boat, we won't get anywhere. And the farmers have listened, you know, intently, and they shouldn't have done. They should have just hammered in as quick and hard as possible. You know, when they took that Morrison's distribution depot, they should have sat there for a month. You know, that in my opinion, if they'd have sat there for a month, that government soon would have listened. You know, and unfortunately, I don't think until that happens that the government's going to take it serious. And even if the government does take it serious, do they even care, Anna? Do they care? Is this about drawing the farmers out for an argument, which I think it is, because then they can bring in martial law or, you know, whatever they need to do. I think what's encouraging from my side, since I've been putting the tour together, I've had a massive amount of people come forward to see about booking tour dates all over, literally end to end of the country. Also, people offering me accommodation and so forth, because people are getting behind what's going on. And not just, I'll be honest, not just what I deem as the awakened community. I've had pubs, hotels, restaurants where we're talking and different things, churches and things where people are saying, you know, we don't know what's going on, but we know this isn't right. Whether you're right or wrong, Mark, we know that this isn't correct. So we want to support your tour. So yeah, I mean, we want to do 100. Sorry, Anna?
Again. It's got to be somebody else to. It's got to be somebody else, ideally, to help to like broadcast that, right? Because obviously, on the scale that you're going to be doing, there are going to be speeches, but it needs to be more. Not saying like the news outlet, but somebody to kind of.
We need to get it mainstream. It's interesting. I had a conversation last night with one of the cabbie groups. I don't know if you know what cabbie is. So cabbie they're effectively a government in their own right, and they live under their own rule and democracy.
Right.
And there's lots of these springing up all over the country now. And I think they're great. And there's thousands of people getting involved in it. And they're getting involved with the tour because they want to help us push it out countrywide. We've got the Yellow Board families which are stepping in. We've got all different groups of people that come into the...
What do they do, that cabbie thing? What do they do? Are they like a filming thing, or what are they?
No. So cabbie is effectively like a non-bureaucracy of government. So they've set up their own government, in effect, and their own councils. So... And they're all over the country. Yeah, so they're literally sitting outside of the government. And it's a great concept. It started down in Cornwall hundreds of years ago. So they are in the process of coming to the table as well. We've got different farmers and groups what are coming to the table. And over the course of the entire country, we'll end up that everything will be very well documented, and everything will be... and you know they'll build the audiences for us. So I mean, a lot of the tickets are already sold out, Anna, I have to say, across the country.
Are you going to be filming and loading? You keep disappearing. Sorry, it looks like I'm talking over you.
No, it must be because of what we're talking about.
It's always, isn't it? No,
imagine
filming. And then
am I going to what?
This, are you going to be filming and reporting this as you go, or are you going to be compiling the list afterwards to your diary video thing?
A little bit of both. So on the way, we're going to do a lot of lives from the farms, and we're going to be obviously doing the tours in the evening. Then we'll take all the clippets out of that and build a collage. So we've got some professional pods in the background going to be doing that as we go. So I mean. It's exciting because we've got talks from literally when we start properly in March. The first one's inside the M25 in Hackney, then we're at Stansted, and then we head down to right the way down the east and south coast, right the way until we kind of hit Swindon, Ledbury, and then we go right the way down to Land's End. We've got loads down that direction.
Yeah.
Farms to visit and, you know, and talks to do, WIs, churches, all sorts of things, Anna.
Yeah.
So, and then
Busy
when
man.
we're there, we head up through Derbyshire. We do all the Midlands and gradually work our way up to Grimsby, then across the Merseyside, then up to Cumbria, and then into Scotland.
Yeah.
We should be gone about 6 months.
Yeah. So
all the tour dates, Anna, are
100%.
Yeah. We'll just be yeah. I mean, there's a couple of times we come back to see parents and kids and things, but you know, apart from that, no. We're just going to have 6 months out.
A lot of determination to kind of exciting, I suppose, to
yeah. I mean, if anybody wants, yeah, absolutely. And if anybody wants to know where the tour's going, they can go to the bowlerhatfarmer.com, and on the website there is a place they can also donate towards the tour, because we've come to the reality of what it's going to cost to put it on.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And not only we to be honest, we've got £100,000 target in place. So I think we've raised about £4,000 so far in 48 hours. So
yeah, that's good.
The plan is, as we roll forward, to be able to also, because there's several points to this. One is we've got to get this message out to the masses. The only way we're going to do that is via social media, by people like yourself who are good enough to give up time on the channel for us. And there's also, you know, so, and we're also doing some advertising in the Light magazine, in the Light newspaper, and so we've got various different things coming up. We've got talks on different channels, different shows. I want to avoid the mainstream completely. I don't even want to get involved with them, the mainstream media at all. No desire to be in any kind of talks with them over what's going on. So yeah, so as we, well, yeah, I mean, the Good Food Project, I mean, they're right up in Perth, and we're hoping to call up and see them on the way through. But they've kindly said that they've donated food for the tour, so they're going to find out where we are at the kind of next points, and then they'll ship food ahead of the game for us.
What kind of
to live
food?
on.
What, your dinners and something?
Well, yeah, well, they're shipping like fruit, veg, and meat, and packet stuff, and you know, so we've got food to eat where we're staying and so forth, so we don't have to bludge off of other people. So it's people's kindness what are going to make this tour what it is. And I think the people that follow, like yourself and me, Anna, they're concerned genuinely about food. You know, so the people that have fundraised for us so far, kindly, are all people that follow us, and they're all people that see the real essential necessity for what we're talking about to be out there for the masses. Because, and I mean, some of the things what have come out this last week through, as you know, I'm in the food industry. I run a fruit and veg wholesale company. I've received dozens upon dozens of messages this week from wholesalers and importers and farmers. Just there's nothing coming through the system. Everything is months behind schedule. You know, I priced this morning rhubarb, and this time of year we work Dutch rhubarb because the English rhubarb's normally here by now, but it hasn't even. It's about that big, you know.
Yeah, mine is about that big.
And it's £50 a box for 6 kilos.
Right, that's
to me. So before I put anything on it and sell it, that's how much it is.
Right, because
and you just think, like, shit, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy, isn't it? Considering rhubarb really grows like a weed. 2 pieces of
it's all it is.
£4, I think. £3.75 or something in the supermarket, and it is pretty much half of the time it's on there. The half of it on either end is already manky because it's been sitting there for a while. But you know, talking about the food, the stuff not coming in again. I've seen multiples and multiples of articles again. They're talking about I know they're saying the shortages of the food. Again, people say, well, there isn't any, we don't see any, but clearly from the inside point of view, there is. But they talked again from the Spain because of the issues with the weather they had. They talked about, like, you know, again, the winter veg, you know, cauliflowers, that kind of thing. So it's like, well, technically there should be kind of coming in from here rather than from Spain. It's the winter veg, you know, it likes rain and miserable weather, you know, come on, they're thriving, right? But it's
exactly, I mean,
one thing after another, really. But again, I think people need to No, so people need to understand, like when they're
No,
talking
go on.
about the shortages, and we mentioned this. This is badly. I'm sitting there. We're like a minute behind your face to the thing. Terrible excuse. Yeah, the vegetables. When you now go to the supermarket, you know, we spoke and I said our supermarket now put up those pretend wooden cardboard things to cover up the trays. So whether before they had like say 4 or 5 layers of veg, now still there,
Absolutely.
looking inside there, it's one box on the top and the rest is empty.
Yeah.
So it makes it
It's empty,
look
yeah.
prettier, but it's covering up
Yeah.
the truth, because people think, oh well, you know, it's tons of that there. Not even considers probably thinking that in fact actually you only have like few of them. So it's just, you know, it's the truth really. It's just scary really, but it's You back in the room?
Yeah, I think the challenge is the challenge is that because the public who shop in supermarkets don't see visually, they don't take any notice. I want potatoes, there's potatoes. But what is, once you look past, you know, we're kind of at that point where in the Wizard of Oz, where they kind of pull back the curtain, and you know that's where we are. That curtain's been pulled back at the moment, and people are really starting to see it for what it is. And there is so many gaping holes at the minute, Anna. It's crazy, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month. You know, and so part of my talk I want to do is, as I go around and see the farmers, is try and get the farmers to understand. I mean, if you take where we live, Anna, and I know I've said this several times, but I live in the heart of East Anglia. We grow 3 things: wheat, barley, sugar beet. That's it, nothing else. So if we can convince 10% of those farmers to start growing vegetables, that's what we really need, because we don't want sugar, we don't want wheat and barley being pumped into the, you know, the nonsensical side of farming, really. You know, so, it's all going to, you know, the wheat's going off to make bread, and a tiny percentage of the wheat's going off to make bread. It's going into making bloody all the shite in food we don't need. So I think if farmers start to see that there's a way forward, because farmers used to grow in, Anna, and you know they normally grow something like wheat or barley about 4.5 tonne an acre, and after everything that might earn them about £400 an acre. Okay, after everything, if they grew an acre of vegetables, they would probably be even conservatively 10 times up on that volume. Financially, so you know, so you start looking at. Go on.
How do you convince? I do apologize. It's awful connection. It's like really jumping. And delayed. Now, how do you convince somebody who's been doing that all their life? How do you possibly convince somebody to break the habit? Because like for me, I'm thinking, you know, even the gardening, I said, I'm going to do things differently. Okay. And I'm not going to plant this because I know things didn't work. I'm like, it still wants to kind of slip back into what you know, because it's the comfort. But I already know this, like robots, what if that doesn't work? So how could you possibly convince somebody to sort of say, do you know what, let's just pull the Band-Aid. Let's just give it a go. It's hard, isn't it?
It is, but I think what farmers, one thing farmers want to do, Anna, is grow food. They're growing fecking solar panels at the moment, and they're growing fecking flowers because they pay more. They pay more against what they're traditionally growing. If you grow wheat, barley, or sugar beet, it doesn't pay. So I'll do this instead. Now let's look at vegetables. And you know, people say to me, "Oh, you know, how you talk about farming, Mark." You know, for me, I'll give you a classic example, Anna. We went out this morning to do some veg deliveries, and there's one particular village we come through, and the clay where they had all the sugar beet is just so compact because of where the massive equipment's been over the ground. It's all waterlogged. The whole field's underwater. The water can't go anywhere because it's trapped on top of the clay. You're not going to change that. They've got to stop farming like that and get to better business practices. For me, they need to be putting a lot more organic matter into the ground. A lot more. Not nitram, you know, like false nitrogen. They need to be putting real good. It needs to be putting more sewage, more compost, more manure, more wood chip, you know, to break the soil up and put some nitrogen back. They've got to start thinking about cover crops in the winter. So put something in, you know, like turnips, when they grow, the sheep can eat them off. They can then put manure down while they're doing it. So and the turnips will put nitrogen in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Farmers used to work like this, Anna. They've got lazy. I have to say, they've had it very easy for very long. It's easy to put someone on a tractor for 24 hours a day and go, just plough. Well, you don't need to plough.
Financial incentive by government, isn't it?
And do you know what, Anna? The biggest thing what I hear from farmers is, oh, that'll take too many people, right? And the biggest amount of contacts I have via social media is pensioners saying, is there any local farmers, Mark, that need someone to go and pick vegetables or help set vegetables? Yeah. There's an army out there of people wanting to help, and I mean a massive army. Yeah. And the farmers are not taking use. So it's kind of bringing those two things together, you know? So I think with the talk, for me, if we can encourage people to get out and talk to their farmers, if we can encourage farmers to start thinking about growing food, and that might not be them growing it, it might be them setting aside some land for a community project. It might be the fact that, you know, the local village comes in to help the farmer, or does it for themselves, whatever that might.
That's a good one. Exactly what I was just thinking. You know, obviously you got to do the FFH, the Food Finders Hub, where you've got the people joining together type thing. You also need to always have like a thingy for the farmers, but each farmer to create a general Facebook account or some sort of a media where people can check. So, like, you know, the gleaning website where the farmers get in touch with the gleaning company, they employ some people to come and clear the stuff rather than veg going to waste because they're wasted because of the improper shape or size or that kind of thing, or too much, too little, whatever. And then, like you say, a village people, if there's a farm up there, so look, we've got tons of carrots in there, supermarket don't want, they're still in the ground, go and pick some. Like, you know, just to get them out and at least help food waste more so than anything. Do you know what I mean? All those kind of schemes, it could be put in place if people think about it carefully and try to arrange something that will help. You know, it's going to take time, obviously, but it's a good idea, though.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen with the Food Finders Hub, where initially the idea was farmers advertise themselves and the public can find them, it's already got way past that now. And now Steve and Pete have been working on the bowlerhatfarmer.com website. That's now done. That's all up and running. Everything's on there. That'll just keep getting updated with the new tour dates and so forth. But they're now starting this week on the Food Finders Hub to now do the second stage there. So we've got, I think there's about nearly 8,000 people on there now.
Right.
That are on there in advance, effectively, of when it launches properly for March.
But they're consumers, and though, are they consumers rather than the business?
Yeah, I mean, there's more farmers going on there, Anna. There's more farmers going on, and more you know, more people selling food on there now than there was. And it's like everything. The more the word gets out there, you know, if 100 people join, we tend to get a new farm joined because somebody's gone out and said to them. The ambassadors are out talking to people. I've asked everyone to hold back at the moment because while we did the last bits of the changing of the website and so forth. But within that, there'll be the opportunity for farmers to look at advertising on their page certain things. So it might be paid work, voluntary work. I mean, one of the groups of people that have contacted me and we're contacting the farming community about is people called van lifers. So these are the people who live in camper vans all the time, and they float from one farm to another to do some work, and that farm puts them up and feeds them and gives them, you know, some negligible amount of money, but they, you know, they kind of just float about from this. And that to me is brilliant because it gives the farmers a ready-made captive workforce, you know. So there's lots of things we can bolt onto the hub the minute it's up and running properly. Then the things we can do with it are just, you know, really are crazy. So, exciting times, Anna, exciting times. So, but yeah, I mean, but say all this costs money. If anyone can help, great. You know, we've had a couple of companies come forward for some sponsorship. We've had, I think we've had about 70 donations in so far on the website in the last 2 days. And lots of people who, like yourself, who've come forward and said, Mark, do you want an hour on the channel, half an hour on the channel, whatever it might be, to talk about where you're going, what you're doing, who you're going to see. yeah, I mean, it's all. I think, Anna, you and I realise that the timeline we're up against, is being pushed considerably with the 2030 agenda being shoved down our throats by Starmer at the moment. And you know, whether people like to accept it, admit it, that doesn't change the fact it's happening.
No.
You know, and you know, I get people tell me I'm crazy and people tell me I'm mad, and then I sit down and show them the figures, and they're like, "Shit, that's concerning." Yeah. Well, it is concerning. That's why I'm doing the tour.
Yeah, not enough out in the public.
Sorry, Anna?
Eye, isn't it? Not enough out in the public eye.
No.
It's just
no, and the and obviously the press are being paid not to let that information out.
Yeah.
You know, you've only got to look at you've obviously been following what's happening in America with USAID.
Yeah, I've given up and I haven't got up. But last time we spoke, it was all out in the news. But I've kind of I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've found about 500 billion so far. What's been misspent, and they've only been looking for 2 weeks. I think that it's still going to come to light that the supermarkets in America, and not just America, have been paid by the governments via somebody else's money, let's say.
What, to sell shit?
I think we're going to find... Sorry? Well, I think 2 things. To sell shit, and 2, they're being paid to drop the price of vegetables so that it has a non-tangible value.
Right.
Keep the price of meat, dairy, and vegetables down. We'll make up what you're losing on it, and then so the farmers get fucked over, but because they tell them it's all it's worth, and they sell it at that, and then they're getting a £1 million a day rolling in by the government to roll this program out. And I think that's going to come to light. I really do. I mean, it's exciting if you see in America at the moment what's going on with Kennedy. Obviously, he's now got into power in the, on the health and farming side. He's putting some radical changes into place already, which is great.
Yeah.
Joel Salatin, who is one of his advisors, who's the organic farmer in America, and he's huge on social media.
Yeah.
Joel's visiting the UK in November time to come and do a couple of tours with me. So yeah, if we can get the right people into the right places in power, and all this changes very quickly. Yeah. We've seen this in America,
Yeah.
Do
you know what the food you'd said about the stuff in the supermarkets? Obviously, their food is even worse than ours. Like in some of it, without offense, but especially the sweet stuff and whatever else. And you said the supermarkets know and been paid off to do that kind of thing. Blah blah blah. It's crossed my mind, right? Because recently there's been articles in the papers that some illegal American sweets and beverages are entering our country, and it's like not being funny, but how hard it must be to sneak in illegal, sugar snacks and waters, sugar waters, that kind of thing. It's like, seriously? And we're talking about the border checks, the FSA, that kind of stuff, and they're allowing this. The things that are like sweets, sugary stuff, that's full of chemicals that's not allowed in America and certainly not allowed in here, and then they allow them in. The drinks, like even, I'm not going to name the certain ones, but the really popular ones from America, all contaminated with stuff, and it's just suddenly just flooding our super and shop shelves with that. It's like, that's a bit peculiar, considering how even the shop owner from here thinks, oh, let's buy some American sweets. And guess what? Oh, it's blamed on social media because all those people drinking those drinks, oh, must import more because everybody wants it. Do you know, like, really? Okay, I can see bloody straight through that, but maybe just me, but nonetheless, it's I think some degree what you're saying is probably right. But we'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come out, and I have reason to say that. So
yeah.
But like you say, all this stuff's flooding in. How's it getting in? At the end of the day, Anna, the government's not going to stop anything what's taxed. I don't care what they say.
No.
It's not in their interest to stop it. And ask yourself a question, Anna. All of these companies that are manufacturing all this stuff. Look into all their shareholders, and this is one of the things I want to talk about on the tour, because lots of people say to me, one of the big things always asked at the tour talks, Anna, is one question: is there anybody in the room who still shops in a supermarket? And 90% of the audience put their hands up. And this is an awakened community.
Yeah.
And if they won't deal with stepping away from the supermarkets, then what do? You know. But I do think there is a movement coming that direction, and that's what I'm hoping to be able to kind of push to the front. And you know,
it's
but like yourself, you know, getting people to cook.
Sorry, go on again.
Yeah, it is. But as you found, you know, you've had your channel going what, a couple of years, Anna?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years, and in that 2 years, you've now got to about 17,000 followers. That says to me that is progressively going that direction. So it is, people are waking up to it, you know. I know when we share your videos on the Food Hub, we've got loads of comments on there the last couple of days since you put the last lot on.
Okay, I haven't checked it.
yeah, you need to. And I think what is there is that there's the ability to slowly catch the monkey with people, and people, firstly, they understand what's going on, then they want to act on it. Well, to act on it, they've got to cut out the supermarkets, or they might initially go, okay, well, I'll cut out the crap and I'll just get back to meat and veg and so forth, and cooking again, and then they get involved in your side. Then they want to take it a bit further, and then they start to understand, well, I need to, you know, evict out of my shopping precinct the supermarkets, and I need to get a farmer to deliver and a butcher to deliver, and you know, so I think as people are waking, I put up a post the other day, and we had about 1,000 people comment on it, all saying the same thing. Oh, Mark, since we've been following you and Anna, and you know, we've cut out addressing the supermarkets at all. They just stopped going. Well, all right, I understand 1,000 people.
It's hard.
It is.
I know. We're talking, you know, I've done changes. I have done changes myself too. How I do stuff. I do a lot of things from scratch. You know, bread, butter, that kind of stuff. I grow as much as possible myself. But it's very hard totally to step away from supermarkets, because people you get to heavy tins. I'm a prepper. I need tins. You know, I need to stash stuff behind in my cupboard. And that's unavoidable. They're the only places that kind of sell that. You either kind of Amazon or supermarkets, you know, the body care items. Yes, you can look for specifically homemade type things, but they're not always the people that sell certain things, not always particularly be up your street to what you need for either specific skin conditions or that kind of thing. Sure. So I don't think people truly be fully able to step away from supermarkets unless they are totally, like, really properly homesteading, self-sufficient. So people got to understand that. I think when we're pushing the stepping away from supermarkets, we're not saying, like, you know, God forbid, just don't step anywhere near them, because they're just not possible for many. It's somebody putting there. It's a convenience, and it's convenience, absolutely. And we all live, majority, you know, work, do stuff, you know, have children. It's just what happens, you know. We do go there. We will rely on them to some extent, but if we cut down the reliance level and use and do changes,
absolutely,
like we said, the butchers, the butchers for the meat, fishmongers, vegetable, you know, for the farmers, milk, local milk, you know, then make your own bread, make your own yogurts, like I do, make all of that. They'll make you know, as you say, one less thing than you have to buy from supermarket, giving them a little bit less money, less dependence on us, if that makes sense.
I mean, I had a lengthy conversation the other day with the Good Food Project, and I say they deliver countrywide. They're up in Perth, but they deliver countrywide by their website, and they have over 2,000 product range now. And there's still things what they're bringing on, like they're now looking for like organic baby food and dog food, and you know, so they've got over 2,000 items now, Anna. So I think if people get themselves a little bit organized, they can go on a site like that, for instance, and they can say, okay, well, I'll order, you know, a month's worth of tin stuff at a time, and save carrying all that back from the supermarket. So I think we live in a very different world now. You know, where you used to just pop to the corner shop for, you know, a tin of beans when you needed it. That's gone. And I think that people need to start realizing very quickly, personally, that those of us what have prepper minds have that for a reason. And when you realize, like during the pandemic, you know, it changes. And suddenly overnight you can't get food, water, whatever it might be, you know, and I think personally people need to be stocking up a lot more now than they ever have.
Yeah, no, we keep going on about it. Yeah, we do. We do tell people, people got to. But again, supermarkets for now, yes, you got to go and stock up there. That's what it is, isn't it? It's just how it goes. But
yeah,
and as long as people have some, just a little bit. I've got another video coming up, probably tonight actually, for the first £15. So only £15, not only £15, not going to save you for a long time, but for a £15 first to go and spend. So if you cut down on something or add this onto your shop, that hopefully will kind of cover the vast majority of things as an average person should have, just in the back of your cupboard, just for a couple of days kind of thing. Yeah. It's not nothing major, but nonetheless, the videos will be coming up to make sure people know what they're doing, And of course,
I think from my side, what I've witnessed, Anna, is over the course of the last, especially the last year, I think, a lot of the people that laughed at me a year ago over what I was talking about, especially with the prepping side, have very much changed their habits. Because I pointed it out to them and said, look, I understand what you're saying, but just look. When you go to the supermarket next time, look how the shelves stacked, and years ago where it was, 20 tins deep, now it's all on the fascia. You said earlier, the veg is now, there's the box on the top. There's enough. The warehouses are the same. The distribution centres are the same. So if that stuff isn't there, then, we need to look at this and say, okay, well, then what? And is that down to growing more at home if people have that ability? We both know, Anna, that the chance of you ever growing enough at home is zero.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
However, there might, I think, two things which you'd probably agree with. One, it's great if you've got kids or grandkids to show them how food's produced, that it is possible to grow your own food and that side. And the other side is that when you've got something in abundance, you can then put that aside, whether that's through freezing it, cooking it up, whatever it might be, preserving it, whatever. So, but I think people's mindset has changed towards food in the last year. There's been all the stuff going on in the background with the farmers not being, not being paid properly by the supermarkets. All the stuff what Arla was putting in the milk, loads of stuff what you've uncovered, for Christ's sake. And I think people are starting to wake up to that. And I think what's happening is that the next step for this, once we've got the tour underway, is to really then, once you've got 100 people in a room, for me, the next step is to say, right, I've done my bit. You guys now need to go spread that message. You need to go tell the whole village, the whole town.
It's like a pyramid, isn't it? Like they do the pyramids for they're banned now, but for selling stuff. You got one person, and then you got to 10 people, and then each 10 person tells it to 10 people. There's 100, and then it spreads like a wildfire.
Absolutely.
That's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you have I can't remember what they were called, but there was a like an emergency tree. So if there was a problem at the school, that person rings those 5 people, those 5 ring the next 5, and it goes down. So, and I think that's what we need to kind of countrywide now start creating these groups of people that can bring this to the forefront. I've got a big mouth, no disrespect, Danny, you as well, you've got a channel, we've all got our own audiences, we've all got our own of a voice, and I think it's really time for us guys to start asking the audience to do their part now. Don't just sit here and watch this video and go, oh, Mark and Anna done a good video. Share it, like it, share it on all your platforms. If we're not going to say anything in here which is detrimental to you or your family or life or anything else. This needs to be now a collective audience need to go and spread this word. And that's why I say, from my side, doing the fundraising, there is plenty of people out there, Anna, that will quite happily chuck £1, £5, £10, whatever it might be, into the kitty, because they believe in what we're talking about. They believe in what we're doing, and they believe that, let's face it, Anna, we know if we do not progress past the point where we are now with food, if nothing's done in a year's time, we're banging trouble. There'll be very little food being produced, very little food coming in the country, and the only stuff you'll get is going to be shit produced in a factory.
Another thing that when you talked about the food, and obviously people are aware, because we talk about the food shortages a lot, and I think again people got to understand. I'm just going to go on the basis, not the veg. We already said this because there's a lack of it, but like things like I say to people, say do stock up on the rice and pastas, and been saying this for last year, and people are like, well, we haven't had any shortages. Bloody good. Do you know what I mean? Be grateful that you haven't yet. But the fact is, because as you say, we don't have like a crystal ball, but things are happening at whatever phase they're happening, and it depends on many things. So good they haven't, because it's almost like no, they still, rice is still available. Well, good. It's good for everybody because that means we still have time. Yeah. Because when it's not going to be there and you haven't bought it, then there's going to be trouble. And I think when we talk again, both of us are not guilty of that, but to put the urgency with the words and the thumbnails and stuff to make people understand. Because if suddenly I say, it's a good idea, just, put a bit of rice in the back of your cupboard. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's going to take this seriously and understand the extent of the situation. And you do the same, don't you? It's people got to understand that it's not just us trying to scaremonger people. It's to kind of, in a way, just get people just kick up the button to realize what could be happening very soon and do something about it rather than just pretend to scare people,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just flicking through some of the comments, Anna, because I forgot to turn that on. So, if anyone's got any, because we've got 15 minutes left, if anyone's got any questions they want to ask on any of this, about the tour or the donating, anything at all, just let us know, because I think what's really important is we've started to make a dent, Anna, I believe, in people's subconscious to deal with this stuff. We've also started to make an inroad into the farmers starting to understand they've got to change how they farm. Yeah. So now it's that big push, but I
Your sound's gone. Your sound's gone. Sorry, my sound disappeared. I'm still on.
Is that better?
Yeah, what did you do? Unplug yourself.
I reckon I flattened me mic.
You weren't worse than me.
Been talking too much.
Sorry, as you were saying.
I forget.
You're looking at the comments.
I am. Yeah, I was just flicking through there because there was anything in there. I know what I was going to say, Anna. One thing, I don't know if you've come across lots and lots of people commenting online about seeds this year.
No, I haven't. What's going on?
Lots and lots of people who bought seeds last year.
Yeah.
And saved from those seeds. Now, I'm not saying this about good quality organic natural seeds, but people that did buy packet seed from supermarkets and things, those seeds aren't growing, and nor are the seeds from those seeds growing this year.
Right.
Lots and lots of people are making a point about that this year.
Well,
heritage seeds.
Funny that, right? Sorry, there's somebody mentioned about the bugs and the labels. I'll come back to that in a second. The seeds, like you said this, I bought not yesterday, so last year in Tesco's, there I say it, but hear me. Again, I for bargain, do you know what I mean? 7p, they were clearing out, they were unvins, whatever. One of the branded ones, and they were like $3.99 generally packet. They were on clearance for 7 pence. So I'm like, well, I'm not stupid, do you know what I mean? Like, I'll just get some and give them a go. And I bought a few, and I bought peppers and tomatoes. That's what was left because I was a little bit too late on the parade. Anyway, the peppers, and I sprouting the peppers from the supermarket a pepper, because I'm like you, if I had a lot of peppers, I would just dry them and give it a go because nothing lost, okay? Yeah. At the same time, still grow the decent ones just to compare. But anyway, cut the long story short, I planted them both, right? And to me, the supermarket one should be struggling because I dug them out myself from the pepper, that kind of thing. And a posh one for $3.99 for 60 should be thriving. But no, they're not even coming up. And it's been 3 weeks now. Okay, my tomatoes are this big now. So I'm going to do a video today on how to transplant them, or tomorrow. But yeah, those ones are not. And I'm like, I didn't think anything to it. I think maybe they'll just take a bit longer. The variety, I don't know. But it is a peculiar, now you say it. It's a peculiar.
Anna, when you plant your tomatoes, how do you plant them?
What do you mean?
Do you just plant them in a hole in the ground?
Oh. No. I do them in the tray, and then I'm just potting them up now into a bigger pot.
Yeah. So when you come to plant them outside, do you stand them up or do you lay them down?
I stand them up, but I did look at the laying down thing, but I couldn't find at the moment of. I've seen the guy that's doing this stops them collapsing, but you need a lot of wood for that and a space, and I'm really lacking the horizontal space. I'm trying to keep them up, but I was gonna do upside down upside down version and try grow them that way. Like put them on the, not growing from the bottom, but put them on the top and let them hang down.
Yeah.
And to see, but I need Mr. Daniel to build me something so I can experiment that and find, because I've got severe plans, but the time and probably the weather are gonna really stop us this year. I've got this feeling in my bum, right? They're just gonna try the best possible of just, ruining what we're trying to do there.
I'll tell you what I did watch yesterday, Aaron. I watched a cracking video yesterday about a lady in America who she set up a farm, but this farm is only in containers. So she grows micro herbs and vegetables, all hydroponic. Now that goes against everything I believe in, right?
Yeah.
That goes against everything I believe. Not having the soil, the natural, the vitamins and minerals out of the soil, so forth. However, right, I will say on this, the lady started off with one container, and one container was earning her, I think, about sort of £5,000 or £6,000 a year. £5,000 or £6,000 a month, £50,000 a year, one container, right? And then she got more and more and more. And it's all set up in like almost like a parking lot. This thing with containers everywhere on top of each other and everything. Jesus, the food they produce, I couldn't believe. It was just mental. They can grow a lettuce to full size in 14 days, right? Wow. From literally a plug to full grown in 14 days. On the clean water, the vitamins, the minerals are all pumped into it, to get it good. And the guy was commenting about the taste of it, and I thought, well, it goes against everything I believe, but it's something I'm going to have to play with at some point because
I wanted to give it a go as well. It's one of those survival things, I think, more so if you have to stay inside for whatever reason. I don't know, but it's one of those things that just be interesting to have a go.
It'd be interesting to know how much seed you need because obviously, these guys, they only work from seeds. They don't work from plugs. They do all their own plugs. They do all their own, plugging on and so forth. But it'd be interesting to know where they get that amount of seed from because, I grow mung beans and so forth for the shoots. And you get through sacks of beans really quick. And it's like, where do you get your seed from? Because you're never producing any seed from what you're doing where if I was growing a row of broad beans, for instance, I'd say, well, I've put the broad beans in. When I get to the end of picking, just leave everything what's left and then pick that as next year's seed.
Well, then maybe they'll leave some behind.
No, they don't. It's just cropping. So they're always buying in new seed. So I was like, well, that's all good and well. But if there's an issue, how long can you go if there's no seed coming in? The seed's obviously been grown out in freaking fields. It's like...
crazy. I don't know.
You couldn't make this shit up.
No. But if it's like temporary business, then they just ride the wave whilst there's a demand, and then.
Well, they're right in the middle of a city, and they're they employed. I think it was about sort of 70 people they employed that work all different times of the day and night. The place is literally running 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
The alarm even tells them when the veg is big enough to pick. And then they go in, they take it out of the water, they trim the root off, put it in a bag, and it's gone. Yeah. Awesome. And they just massive amounts of stuff.
At least there's going to be no human sewage on it. Let's be frank.
Well, you have to look at all these things, Anna. I mean, they've just finished a project in London City, and that most people don't know has been going on, but it's cost about 50 billion. They're putting this new sewage works in, and it's 16 miles long. And it goes right the way around the city underneath the Thames.
That's a lot of shit in one place.
Yeah, and it's about 70 meters underground. And then it's obviously pumped out and, then it will go off to, distribution onto the farm soil and so forth. Yeah. What always worries me about that is the amount of things, chemicals and drugs and that what people take these days that's all going into the sewage and then out onto the fields. And I don't agree with that at all.
No. I've done a video on the sewage, I don't know, a month back or so. If anybody wants to flick back through my 600 videos, they can't clean. The system they're using is 50 years out of date. So they're not able to clean and B test for a certain stuff like drugs and bits. So it's unfortunately scary. So whatever goes in our veg in some cases is is actually terrifying. So
and not just in the veg. I mean, look at the amount of people that are on long-term drugs.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's, you know, recreational, is that what that's called, recreational, or you know, or pharmaceutical drugs, what they're, you know, whichever way you look at it, it's just scary that that's all going back into the food system, and just perpetual making people ill all the time.
That's the idea, isn't it? You ill, we ill, they make some money.
Yeah, you know, and see it with farm animals as well. You know, with farm animals being pumped all these chemicals and drugs and things, that's all going onto the land. We need to. This is why I say to people, you know, you really need to start looking for organic farmed food.
Yeah, I'll do. There's some other. The organic have to be. There is some loopholes and stuff in there as well, which I'll be covering on my Food Exposed, because it got to be, just because it says organic, it doesn't mean that. You got to look for the further things. It's a bloody minefield, absolute minefield. But I'm there to speak the truth, to let people aware. So you got to kind of like it or lump it, but at least people can make a decision. But so coming back to somebody in the comments about the bugs, yes, petition for labeling the bugs. Well, they're going to be labeling them as the vitamin D protein, so that's in certain instances. That's what they're meant to be in some instances. But anything below %, they don't have to mention it. But talking about the petition, which I'm going to do the video after we've finished our chit chat. Do you remember? Obviously, there was a petition out for labeling the blah blah blah. I've started my petition like 2.5 months ago, and then obviously when I got through, that petition came out late, requesting blah blah blah, so we advertised that going forward. So the other day I had an email, in fact yesterday, from some of my subscribers showing me basically the response from the government, because they reached 30,000 signatures.
Well done.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm gonna do the video briefly after that to let people know. But the fact is, it's surprisingly that I had an email for my petition that I thought was cancelled off, because they don't allow duplicate petitions, right? But because my petition wasn't specifically mentioning the specific thing, they're like, would you like to? You know, I'm like, anyway, I'm not going to reveal too much, but it's kind of a little bit strange. It's like they almost giving me away. Anyway, I'll do the video on that. I'm not going to spoil it because nobody's going to watch it otherwise. But yes, there is things there with the petitions. With the bugs, again, it will be handy, but according to response, even on the additive there, I don't think government really give a flying monkeys there. They've got the agenda, let's be frank. They're on the agenda. For goodness sake, the governor is part of the freaking WEF, whatever, isn't it? So it's unfortunately it's what it is. So anyway,
it is what it is. We've just got to smash it to the ground.
Yeah. So anyway, is there any other questions? Yes, sun is the only main source for processing vitamin D, so let's block it. I know. We had one day, somebody else commented yesterday, funny enough, I think the whole country. But again, people don't seem to question, a lot of people who don't believe in that, right? Say, how is this across the country when it's the fog for 4 days across the pretty much world we had? Nobody questioned, well, few people questioned the, and then we have weather. We have a day that was nice day, and it's nice across the whole country pretty much. It's very unlikely. And even though, right, I was in a school doing a school pickup, I was speaking to some mums last week. We had a clear day, nice day, and I almost like done a post, but I didn't want to sort of alarm people too much. But it's clear skies, not a single freaking plane in the sky, not a single one. And it's like, oh yeah, I've noticed that too. And this is not the person who into the conspiracy or that kind of thing. It was just an average person that doesn't even understand what that means. But she's like, yeah, I haven't seen any. Weird. But we had a day yesterday, nice. Somebody else commented, nice, clean day. Yep, and look at it now. We're in the weather warning yet again. Pissing down with rain and really heavy wind. So
we were laying in bed the other night. It'd been a beautiful clear sky all night. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, we could hear them going over.
Yeah, night time, isn't it? That's what they're doing probably.
And then by 6 o'clock in the morning when I got up, thick fog.
Yeah, it's mad. It is depressing though. We do need vitamin D, and they do. Yeah, what they do is block it. So,
but then they can tell you it, can't they?
Yeah. Well, that's why they're adding on the bugs and label them as a vitamin D. Can't figure why they're adding one to my jam or cheese. Not be funny. Why don't you just add on some, something else then? Make it a multivitamin thing. If that's what you want to do. If you want to add on the, a protein to my diet. Well, might as well push the boat out. You know, vitamin A, B, C, come on, multivitamins, all in my milk. Come on.
I mean, you have to ask the question, and how far are we away from just food will turn up in a, you know, in a pack, in a cell pack, and you'll just take one out and that'll be your food for the day?
Yeah, I know. Probably quite closer than we think, probably.
But
yeah. Anyway, so any other questions, everybody, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody else? Every time I say it's our quick chat, and end up being like an hour long.
It's always an hour.
We just don't stop talking.
Well, yeah, there is that. So anyway, because we're dead on an hour, and I've got to shoot out the door now because I've got something else to do. So sorry, Anna. So yeah, bowlerhatfarmer.com if anybody wants to donate or to see about booking a ticket to come and see us on tour where we are. I'm still waiting for the Welsh contingency, Anna, to come back and tell me that there's talks. I've got 5 which are booked up in different parts of Wales, but I just haven't had confirmation yet on dates. So as soon as I do, I shall harass you to come talk with me.
Yes, I certainly shall try my best.
All right, sweet.
Okay, so somebody said when does the tour starts?
Starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow, here we are. Answer the last question. Awesome. All right, Mark. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for watching, guys. And we shall see you very soon. And I shall be recording some videos. All right, bye.
Bye, Anna. Ta-ra, darling.